This is a nice page, by the way, for you to look at. Okay, actually, let me stream reader. Something like this, I think should work. But of course, I do something. Is a property, probably, right? Good, I figured this out. So this is, I have the book War and Peace there on disk, and now I did a stupid mistake again, and I read it all into one sequence and plot it on the screen. So I should never do that. I should always say sequence take. So this is the War and Peace by Lev Tolstoy, which is supposed to be a big book in English for simplicity, and I can process it line by line. I don't read it all on. Now let's do some interesting things with find the longest word in this book. How you would do that? If you were doing it using for loop, that would be quite like using the while loop. It would be quite difficult thing because you would read it line by line, and then each line you need to split by word, and then for each word and of course I want to do them probably lowercase. Sequence.map fun s to lower, and then I need to filter out. I want to get rid of the empty sequences because when I have two spaces two spaces together, that would give me an empty sequence. So I would say filter of s.length greater than 0. So this is the sequence of words, and if I want to find the word with the like the longest word, what is the longest word? I would say sequence.map fun s.length, and then sequence.max, and this would give me 27, the longest word. No, the length of the longest word. And if I want the longest word itself, I would do sequence max by and specify this length. So this is the longest word, which is not quite fair, right? Because it's doesn't seem like one word, so I need to put the separator here as well. It's a Unicode long dash. Trademark copyright is also not the good word, so I would word characteristically. What else can I do? I can do some funny experimentation here, like I can see like characteristically is a long word, but what is the number of words of different length, right? I can also do that. How would I do that? I would use let me just do the frequency dictionary first. So frequency dictionary, I want to say how many times each word appears in the file. So now I have the list of words, and I can use, so here is the list of words again. That's how it looks. And then I need to also to keep this. So now what I can do to compute the frequency dictionary, I can use clever thing. I can use sequence group by. And sequence group by does the following. It applies some function on top of words. Like I would use the identity function to begin with. And so, for example, it takes the first word there, and then it groups all elements of the sequence which has the same value of function. So it groups all occurrences of there together. So it will do da. And then project, and it will group all occurrences of project. So you see what it does. It does grouping by the value of this function. So if I want to group, for example, by the length of the word, I would do like this: group by s length, and it would give me all words of length 3, all words of length 7, all words of length 9, and so on, grouped into one place as another sequence. So if I want to do frequency dictionary, I would just do this, and then I would need to calculate how many times each word appeared. I would say here fun s, like ws, and I would return the word and the sequence.length of s. So it would give me now the frequency dictionary. This is the frequency dictionary. And if I want to find the most frequent words, I would do sequence.sort by, and I would sort by -s, and this would be the most frequent words. And I can in fact do that in the nice form. I can say chart.bar, and it would give me this kind of graph of words and their frequencies. How would I, by the way, use this sort by in the more, like in the nicer form? If I want to write it in the functional way, what I do here, I take the second argument and I apply the unary minus. So I can say here snd followed by unary minus. This would be the same. It's not working. Strange. Here's the trick, but I don't understand why unary minus doesn't work. Maybe it's like this. No. Okay, now I probably forgot something about unary minus sharp. Let's leave it like this. So that's kind of a way you can easily operate with sequences. So I think that's it for theoretical material for today. I would also suggest you to study in the lectures. You have the next section, which I think number 5, which talks about closures, sequences, and it also talks about some more material which I did not cover, like it talks about memorization, and so I suggest you to go through those lectures as well. And then for this time and for next week, you would have the lab to work on, the next lab, which is kind of not very easy, but I will talk about it in a moment. Let me try to find them. The lab, so this is the lab number 3, and the idea is the following. Like, suppose you want to define in F# a kind of way to represent formatted documents. Normally, like if you want in the real life, if you want to format a document nicely, you would use something like Markdown, or you can use HTML, or you can use, whenever you use Word, essentially you can use TeX. So whenever you, whichever way you take the formatted text, what you do, you have the text and you have some additional like Markdown, which specifies how this should be shown on screen. So the lab number 3 deals with this kind of formatted document. Your goal would be to represent this formatted document in F#, and then like do something with it, either print it in some way or take the document from the disk from in as text and represent it as formatted document. So how can you do that in F#? In F# you have the rich typing system, right? So you can say type doc equals to. So now we can say what is formatted document. You can say that formatted document can be a paragraph of string. Paragraph or rather you can say that formatted document is S of string. So whenever you want to represent a string, you would say S. It can be a paragraph of doc. It can be, for example, if you want to represent bold, you can say bold of doc. And then you need also like some other things like formatted list and so on. But this, if you want just to represent the bold or italic, you can do something like this. And then you would be able to say let x equals bold of, you can say paragraph of bold of it says it should be uppercase. Okay. That would be the simplest formatted document. So in the lab, what you need to do, you need to design the data type to represent this formatted document using paragraphs, bulleted item lists, bold italic text, and headers. It's like very simple subset of HTML. Then you need to write a function which takes this document and renders it using one of the formats, and the format is defined by your number in the list. So it can be either Markdown or HTML, or it can be like PostScript-like stack language. So the idea of, if you know that what a PostScript is the language for printers. It was designed for printers so that you can send the documents in the rich format and it would print them accordingly. And the idea of PostScript is that it is stack-based language. So you have the operation to put the string on stack. Then you have the operation to switch to bold, italic, or normal. And you have the operation to print the line. And then you have the operations to switch between heads to next and previous level. So the idea is that if you want to print the bold string, you put the string on disk, you would switch to bold, and then you would call the P command. If you want to print like bold and italic, you would say this string and then bold and then italic and then print. And then if you want to print something in bold and then normal, then you would put first string which you want to print in bold, switch to bold, print, then put the normal string, switch to normal, and print. So this kind of sequence of commands you need to generate for your document. And then the third exercise is the most complex one. You need to take as input either XHTML document, which means very well formatted HTML, or the second option would be simplified version of Markdown, meaning Markdown without like all the complex syntax, but just supporting the commands that you need. And you need to parse this text document into your defined data type. So you would have those two functions, from text to internal representation, from internal representation to one of those. So and by building those two functions, you would in fact build the converter, like for example, from Markdown to HTML or from XHTML to PostScript. So depending on your number, you would build different converters. And then you would also need to write a function which strips all the formatting and produces plain text, which would be a simple tree traversal exercise. And finally, the number 5, the final task is unrelated to the first one. It's just you have the large text and you need to calculate something from it. It is similar to the exercise that I have just shown you with War and Peace. You just need to show some kind of interesting value from big text. And the text you can take from here. It has the links here. One more interesting thing here is that you can download text from the internet directly without putting it on disk. So this is the next lab. It's pretty big, especially if you need to define parsing. Parsing would take a little bit of thinking of how to do that in the best possible way. And so you have this week and the next one to work on this lab. So next week, I suggest that we do not meet. You just work on the lab, and if you have any questions, you let me know. Okay, any questions you have for me?
Can you share the notebook which you used this lesson?
Yes, that is a great question, and I will do that.
Thank you.
I will share in the in Teams. Once we finish the call, I will share in Teams. Okay, so any further questions, if you have them, please use Telegram. Oh, somebody suggested how to use unary minus. Thanks a lot. Let me try that actually. So unary minus. Excellent, that works. Thanks for your help. Okay, so if no further questions, ask questions in Telegram, and we don't meet next week. You work on lab, and then the one after next, we will decide what to do. Okay, have a great day.
Thank you, goodbye.
Bye.